just tuning in to see how you're doing today and to share some of the themes and the things that have been circulating and coming up for me that I feel that can possibly support those of you out there that may be going through difficult, challenging mental times. So, here I am, live and in person. And I just want you to know that you are not alone and that I am here to support you in whatever way I possibly can. And that life is a series of experiences, choices, stories. And how we go through them is all a choice. So strap on in, buckle into your own seats, enjoy the ride, and know that you're the empowered one running the show, writing the story. You are the author of your own experience. I am here specifically to uplift, support, inspire, and empower whoever this message is meant to be heard by. And it's important because sometimes we forget there are other people with us that are there to also support us, that we are not alone. I know a lot of people are getting sick of hearing we're all in this together. But you know what? The truth is we came down into this human existence, this human form, to take care of one another, to look after one another. Somewhere along the line, somebody changed up the narrative and decided that everybody should abide by the same story, and we stopped looking within to what our own intuitive knowledge and awareness of what was really going on, was really happening, what's really, what was our purpose? A lot of people are grasping at the seams saying, I don't know what my purpose in life is. I don't know why I'm here. And you go to readers or you go to healers or you go to people, you ask others, what do you think? And you ask for information, but how many people are willing to go within and to tune into their own natural knowing, their ability to intuit? Into me, I see the intimacy. That one right there is huge. So let's say today it's about how you are the author, but also the fact that every story has a purpose. The question is, do you know what that is? Okay, so here's where we're at. Last night I had a very interesting dream. I was kind of doing this workshop with a bunch of people. It was a large venue, so it was very unusual the way it was set up. It seemed like there was a wall and there were two sides. And that's kind of how life is. It's polarity. It's this versus that. Good or bad, true or false, like this extreme need to choose sides. But what if you didn't choose sides? What if you just allowed yourself to flow through life instead of seeing it as good or bad and just seeing it as it is? Because essentially that's how energy gets stuck. That's how we get stuck. That's how we feel the depression, that weight of the world, that sense that something doesn't feel right. Well, the feeling not right is really the recognizing that, wow, oh my gosh, I'm not in touch with myself because I'm looking outside of myself for something to give me validation, guidance, support, instead of just going within and knowing what is true for you. This is why meditation, breath work, being present in the moment, getting out in nature, allowing yourself to be still in the moment. I know it's not easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy when you've gotten habituated to the constant go, 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 the constant fight or flight, fawn or freeze. Stress is something that many of us are addicted to and we thrive on. We don't even realize how badly. Whether it be the addiction to constantly eating to keep yourself distracted from doing something, or maybe it's just going out in traffic and being in such a rush and you got plenty of time and no need to be somewhere, or you could have given yourself more time. Like, what do you choose? What is your story? And are you choosing to be the victim or the victor? Because we all need to reframe our stories and rewrite our life, our destiny, our path. It is not set in stone that this is so bad now that that's how it's going to be in the future, though the ego and the mind tends to weigh toward and get dogmatic about what's been in the past is dictating the future or indicative of. It couldn't be further from the truth. If you just slow down and see how things have unfolded, try to go back to the root. Like, for example, when you first wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that you do? Where is your awareness? What is the first thought on your mind? What is the first thing you think of doing? How present are you when you just start to feel the, I'm awake, there's a little bit of light. You opening your eyes? Are you taking in a deep breath? Are you really being present with, wow, how much gratitude I should have that I am alive, that I have this breath, that I have this body, that I have this bed, I have a roof over my head. I'm very blessed. Most of us are. If you're able to watch me right now, think of how much of a blessing, how much gratitude you must have for having technology, having a phone, having a TV, having access, connectivity, being connected in some way, shape, or form. The ability to reach out. Maybe you don't always have someone to touch, but you can touch them with your presence, your ability to call, FaceTime, video conference, Zoom. Look at all the technology we have available to us. Maybe you have friends you can meet up with. I know friends in my area, if you call me up and I'm available, I'm more than willing to welcome you to my home, go for a walk with you, meet up along the waterfront, go to the beach. Because to me, that's important. That's my priority in life, is connecting, is being there with people. So what do you have to be grateful for? What is your story? How do you allow your days to unfold? Are you stuck in the evening still on a story that you never resolved from the previous day, or maybe even from way back when you were a little child, or a past relationship, or past job circumstances, or losing your job, or whatever it is? Are you still stuck? Because if we're stuck in the past, we keep recreating it in our present. It's like being shackled. It's like being held hostage, but in our mind. And when we're hostage by our mind, when we're imprisoned by our thoughts, then we create a prison of life. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world today. And if you feel that something has to change, you have to ask yourself, what do you need? What is it that will make you feel better in this moment? What can you do that's best for you? Everybody has a choice. Do you know how empowering that is to recognize? So on Sunday, I had a very beautiful experience. I decided I was going to do a little bit of soul searching and just deep go within. And I had the most amazing dialogue with myself. It was like, wow, oh my gosh. I decided to go back in the love shack. I started cleaning and just tearing down and ripping apart and just getting down and dirty. Okay, now, first off, I'm that type of person. If I want something done, I don't always wait for other people to do it for me. If I think someone's going to show up because they say they're going to show up, that's one thing. And I've been let down, so I don't always rely on that, and I don't get upset at them, because who can I get upset with? unless I don't know their behavior in the present and I have to learn, oh, okay, that's the type of person that makes a promise, is unable to deliver. That's okay. You know what? If I'm aware of it, I know better. And when you know better, you can do better. But I'm not going to get upset with the other person. I'm going to forgive myself for entrusting, but also being forgiving in a way that I know that, okay, if someone can't show up to me, I know that's not about the other person. It really, whoever shows up to me is meant to show up to me. I'm much more aware of this in my life now. So in saying this, while I was getting down and dirty and doing the work that I was doing, I had this moment where I was just having a beautiful dialogue and saying to myself, you know, you don't need to be doing this. You really don't. But you're choosing to do this. Yes. And I was laughing and smiling because I was like, you know what? I don't mind doing it. I'm actually enjoying this because I am choosing to do it. And in every moment, whatever you're doing, if you can turn it into play, into fun, because that's why we're here, that's why we're living this life. Change up the story. It is not someone doing it to you. You're choosing to do it. How empowering is it when you recognize, I've chosen to do this. Nobody's making me do it. Let me make it fun. So while I'm going through all of this, I'm like, wow, you know, that's the beauty of life, is we always have a choice. And if I have a choice, I can choose to do it, or I can choose not to do it. And when I choose not to do it, it will get done one way or another. Because that's the way life shows up, at least to me in my life. It may not happen right away either. That's the beauty too. Maybe I choose to do it in this moment because that's what I've chosen to do. I want to get it done. Or maybe I decide, you know what, it's not a priority, so I'll just put it off and let it get done whenever it's meant to get done. Maybe I'm not the one meant to do it. Because the beauty of life, everything in life, is that whatever's meant to get done will get done. The universe conspires to create, to expand and contract, to create big, massive, amazing situations and structures and art and life, and then also to contract and destroy and reduce and relieve and release. Like, there's just so much beauty in life in general. If you can come back to wows of awesome, oh my gosh, what a blessing. There's so much gratitude to be had in every single moment. You get to choose. Again, reframe the story and rewrite your life. Rewrite it. You are the victim or the victor, but it's only by choice. We've all had experiences where we felt victimized. We felt someone did things to us. And guess what? Those were experiences and stories to empower us, to inspire us to do better with the information, because once you know better, you can do better. If people have harmed you in any way, you keep it in awareness. You can forgive them. They know not what they do. But you, when you know, now you have information to work with. And maybe you allow it to happen again and again and again. And maybe that's what's meant to be done. But don't get upset at other people and don't beat yourself up. Because once again, you're going to learn through experience the lessons and the blessings, that whatever comes up for you is meant for you, for empowering you, so that you can be stronger with the awareness of whatever is coming to you is just for experience only. Not to hold on to it, not to fight it, because guess what? What you resist persists. And that's the big lesson right there. The quote I put on here by Rumi is that life is a balance of holding and letting go at the same time. Now imagine that. Can you hold on to something lightly enough that you're not holding on, you're letting go? You're not so attached, but you hold it sacred. Because that's what life is so precious that we need to hold it sacred and do everything with sanctity, with reverence, that everything is sacred. You are sacred. Every person that comes into your existence is sacred. to come from the heart, truly from the heart. Because when we give, when we do, when we say things, it should come from the heart. It should be said with sacredness. Nothing that you want to ever retract or regret. Now we do that. That's the human condition. That's how we learn. But it's just this, when you've done it for the right reasons, you're not holding on to it. You don't get resentful. You don't become frustrated. You don't get upset at another person, place, situation, or thing. Because you know when you did it without expectation. But the moment you're upset, it's telling you you had an expectation of something in return. That is the lesson. That is bringing in the awareness. Wow, you know what? I'm really upset. That person didn't smile back at me. They didn't acknowledge me. No, that person didn't give back in return what I gave to them. I know that's probably the most common one right there. How many of us were raised to believe that if I do something for you, you'll do something for me in return? That in itself is a setup for disaster and suffering. If you are doing things with the expectation of something in return, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Something simple as a smile. If you don't get it, now you have that open suffering. That wound is revealed. But when it's revealed to you, now you can go, wow, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. I'm upset because I had an attachment. I had an expectation. I wanted something back. And you got to own that shit. It ain't always pretty. Sometimes it will say, well, I did that for you because I love you. Well, why are you having to say anything about it? If you have to point it out to somebody, you're making it about yourself again. It's not even about the other person. Whenever we do something for another person and we have to put it in their face, like, I did this for you, you didn't do it for the right reasons. And you didn't make it sacred. And it didn't come from your heart. It came from your mind and your ego. Like, I'm going to do something for that person, and they sure as heck better acknowledge me and give back and bow down to me. Whoa, that's huge. Like, that's a huge empowerment to be in awareness that you even ever did that in your life. I'm sure you've all done it because I know I have. And I had to learn the hard way that, wow, I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. And if I truly love somebody, I'm certainly not going to throw it up in their face. And if I'm resentful, oh my gosh, God bless me. I'm so sorry. I forgive myself, but please, I hope I can be forgiven as well. Whew. Because I'm worthy. I'm worthy of my own love, and the other person is worthy of my love as well. There's no reason to validate or justify any loving act, speech, thought, but to question why you would withhold the love is more relevant. Like, what is it that makes you feel that you don't want to give love to another person, or to do something in a loving way, or to show up and just do things from a heart of kindness, of love? Again, everything rooted in love is a setup for success. But if it is rooted in expectation, it's guaranteed to fail, because it will result in suffering and pain, whether for yourself or another person. These simple little things that we tend to overlook, the small things, they say don't sweat the small stuff. Sweat it. Sweat it out. Sweat out the old, unnecessary, non-serving crap that's creating your suffering. But you got to be in awareness and recognize when you do things like that. Life is not as difficult as we have been making it. Simple things like honoring another person where they're at and not getting upset with them because they don't comply to your beliefs or show up the way you expect them to, or show up to you correct, whatever your terminology, remember that if someone is showing up to you, sometimes that's the hardest thing for them to do. Awareness is key, and it's always going to be your friend. So I've seen into a lot of these beautiful things that have come up for myself. So going back to the dream I had this morning when I woke up. In this dream, in this particular workshop, everybody was asked at the end what insights they gleaned. And in mine, it was, I was asked what dropped in for me. And I had this full-on download that essentially said that I create my story. And with that awareness and knowing that I create my story, I am fully empowered to drop the old story and create a new one and rewrite the life that I choose to live. It was a lot more wordy in my dream, but I don't remember the exact words. It was essentially just what I said. It was about empowering myself by not getting stuck in the old story, but that I could step into and rewrite my life, my destiny, my purpose. I mean, you can decide at any time to drop the old and recreate the new. But most people don't realize how difficult that is because of the attachment. The familiar is always where we'll lean toward because familiar is comfortable. It doesn't mean it's the most wonderful feeling, but comfort is in familiar and familiar is in comfort. As well as the other day, while I was in that moment of saying to myself, wow, you're choosing to do this. Isn't that awesome that you have that power? The empowerment of, I get to choose. I don't have to do this, but I'm doing it because I want to do it. And I know that if I didn't want to do it, I could just let it go and somebody else would show up or I would do it later. That anybody can do that. And that was like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I thought it was the most amazing thing. I'm like going, this is so beautiful. This is what life is all about. You get to choose at any time, at any point. You do it or you don't do it. What's the repercussion if you don't do something? Is it something that you'll beat yourself up about? Are you thinking that other people are relying on you? No, I'm not talking about children and things like that. But just take this into perspective. In every moment, you can choose to do or not to do. And then question, what if you don't get it done? What's the worst that could happen? Okay, it gets put off and it gets taken care of later. In one way, shape, or form. Hopefully many of you have people to help and rely upon. Or you're smart enough to know that you can call in, draw in, manifest the right people to support you in whatever it is you need help with. But don't feel like a martyr and think you have to do everything by yourself. That was a big lesson for me in my life, is that I can do a lot of things. I could probably do it all, but that I'm not meant to. And that it is my nature to want to do it all, to take care of everyone, to take care of the details. But you know, I also know my exhaustion level and how I can overdo things for myself and get upset that I didn't take time to relax or to enjoy more or to be more present. So with that said, I know that if I can back off and be more kind on myself and forgive myself for not meeting these excessive expectations, this perfectionist mentality that I have been recovering from for many, many years. You know, it's progress, not perfection, people. Perfection can hold you back so much more than just small baby steps along the way. The small baby steps will get you further in life than trying to get it all done in one grand swoop, although both will be equally as gratifying. But the more kindness you have on yourself, the less stress you place upon yourself, the better off you'll be. Because guess what? Your body keeps score. And whatever you're telling yourself, the mental dialogue, please be kind. That mental dialogue is there to serve you. Know that you will gain so much more with a kind mind than a negative, debilitating, self-deprecating dialogue. Because all that does is creates dis-ease and lodges pain, tension, build up. You know, oh my gosh, why do I have this ache in my back and my neck and my shoulders? Like, your body is demonstrating to you where you're holding on to stuff. Any area that is tight is your inability to let go. And once again, life is a balance of holding and letting go at the same time. You know, I have a book by Osho that I got when I went to India. And he talks in the book about the way that you talk to your body too. And that you can heal yourself. And that it really is this exercise in constantly just noticing where you feel pain, but also envisioning and feeling and sensing what the pleasure aspect of it would be. What would it feel like if I didn't feel pain in that area? Like, visualize and sense and feel to put that pleasure back where the pain is currently. It's a shift. You know, when I talk about being on the pendulum, you can always choose. You can fixate on the pain. It'll just get stronger and stronger and be more painful. Or you can start moving toward what feels pleasurable, what feels good. Whether it's massaging or just imagine someone is touching and caressing you and loving you. There's a whole teaching around Tantra that involves the pleasure, taking in with your senses, the full enjoyment, the embodiment, the loving of every act that you do. I want to delve into this more. I'm going to be doing some interesting podcasts and dialogue. I have a person who reached out to me this past weekend, and we were talking about doing something this week. So just stay tuned for that, because when we talk about this healing that's going on in the world, you know, we talk about the masculine and the feminine. Well, guess what? We all embody both, and we need to heal it within ourselves. And that when you heal it within yourselves, you're going to find you're going to draw in the perfect person. And you'll be able to discern, because when you learn what it is, your own intuitive guidance, your system is telling you, you learn to trust yourself. You also learn to discern and trust your knowing intuitively whether or not someone is showing up to you fully and in their fully healed self. That's huge. Also, the knowing. Somebody posted earlier about something that they had done and they felt really, really upset about their behavior. And I responded on their post because it was about telling the story. And I pointed out that remember when you choose, when you know that you have the choice to choose, that is the empowerment, but also it's re-empowering to know that maybe your soul chose to have that experience, to reinforce, to gain further knowledge, insight, clarity, intuition, and wisdom, so you can and will choose better in the future from that point on. Because sometimes we move 10 steps forward and then we regress, and we step back, maybe 2 steps back. So we move forward, we come back a little. We go out, we come back in. You know, again, we're always expanding or contracting at all times. So remember that we're going through cycles, we're doing the dance, and it's all part of life, and that's the beauty. That's the grace and the ease. Just going with the flow, owning your soul. The fact that you are having these experiences part of your unfolding, your unfurling, your blossoming into you, into who you came here to be. So you get to write your story. So focus on what it is you desire to experience and drive in that direction. If something doesn't feel good in that direction, don't keep going toward what doesn't feel good. Don't keep talking about what you dislike. Start talking about what you do like. That in itself is huge. That's the beauty of life, is whatever you're talking about, That's telling your story. So if you're telling a story about how someone wronged you, upset you, I can tell you I had a huge healing on Sunday because I was going through and reminding myself about all the beautiful people who show up in my life, who do support me, who do have my back. The beautiful men that I've had in relationship that I know I could still turn to in a moment's notice. They'd show up for me because I have in the past. And I know that. I know I can rely upon them even if I haven't talked to them in years. And I have no resentment any longer toward people that were unable to show up for me. Because I also recognize with compassion that if someone wasn't able to show up for me the way I needed them to, I can also witness where they were unable to show up for themselves. And that if my awareness is what it is, I can see that they were not in their own awareness. They didn't even understand their own limitations. They didn't understand that they were overpromising and under-delivering. But they were also in awareness that because of that, they were hard on themselves mentally as well. So with that awareness of knowing and seeing others that have shown up in my life, they just demonstrated to me where I've been in the past, but also to have more compassion for myself and for others. Because I can tell you right now, I can go off and get upset. It's just part of my nature. I have friends that I know I can have a dialogue with. I can have a conversation and say, listen, I just need to unload this. And I've said it before in posts. If I'm still talking about it, I'm still working through healing it. And sometimes we do. We have to have friends we can turn to and just go off and get upset. And they know you have the right friends. They won't turn around and judge you for what you say. And they'll know that you're just saying what needs to be said for you to hear yourself. Because 90% of what we say is for us to hear, not another person. I used to call up my mom all the time and I'd have a conversation with her and I would hear my answers in speaking to her. I didn't need someone to console or give me advice or to give me feedback. Most of the times I just needed to hear what I was saying, because in there lies the answers. Your own voice will tell you if you're willing to listen to your own dialogue, verbal, out of your mouth, or in your head. And I know myself well enough that I can trust that whatever I'm saying, I need to hear. Quite often I'll be saying here in a video something and I'll go, wow, yes, I needed to hear that. So when I speak to others and I speak here, I know it's not just for somebody else to show up, but I know it's for myself just as much. Because we mirror. We are here to support each other. We are here to walk with one another. Nobody's alone. There's always someone around who is going through something similar, never going to be the same. And to know that you will make it through. This too shall pass. No matter what you're going through in life right now, know that you have made it this far and you're going to continue along your path if you just trust yourself more. Be kind and forgiving, compassionate to yourself first. Knowing your limitations is huge. Being in awareness of whether or not the story you tell is empowering or disempowering. That's where everything begins. The story you tell. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, is to remind you that in every way you have an opportunity to show up and tell an empowering story. You get to choose. You get to reframe the past and rewrite your destiny, your life, the way you desire it. So from now on, if this resonates with you, consider writing the story in such a way. Start building yourself up. Start talking about how amazing your life is and all the beautiful people that show up in your life and how blessed and grateful you are for every single one of them and the experiences that you're having and how they are creating more wonderful experiences. Use every opportunity to amplify the good in what is going on. Don't focus on what's not right, because that's where you disempower. That's where you break down your immune system. You give away your power, and you put it into something that doesn't even serve you. So if you feel like you're the victim at any point in your life, remember you have the choice to change and become the victor, to become the empowered author of your life. Life is yours to grab, embrace it. I want you to celebrate your life. I want you to feel like the queen, the king that you are. And even if you don't know that you are a king or a queen, start working toward being that, embodying what that feels like, what it looks like, the way you dress, the way you walk, the way you hold yourself, the way, it just really is about standing in your confidence, your grace, and just allowing yourself to be seen. Don't worry about how people look at you. Just allow yourself to be seen in the way that you feel, the way you want to feel. If you feel not so great, find something that'll make you feel good. Make yourself feel great. Because the truth is, kings and queens, they're not as obvious people. They're people that stand in their confidence and their knowing. They're not looking for adoration or accolades. They're just knowing that they're good with themselves. Kings and queens don't look for people to bow at them either. Those are fake kings and queens, people. When you exude the comfort in yourself, when you exude the confidence that radiates out of your being, when you know you, everybody else wants a little bit of something of that. So when you show up in your full power, you rewrite that story of your life, you'll shine, and people will want some of that. Let that be your goal, that you inspire others by empowering yourself. Because when you inspire others through your inspired living, your empowerment, you're also empowering others to be inspired to do exactly the same thing. So you are gifts and blessings to each and every person you come into contact with. Remember, people are only acting out of one emotion or the other. There's two, either out of love or the fear of not getting it. So when you see someone who's not in their power, smile at them, send them love. If you yourself feel fearful of not getting love, remind yourself, wow, with awareness, I feel like I am lacking in love. Give yourself the love. Empower yourself and choose to be love for yourself. Because we can, again, this is part of the rewriting of your story, is tell the story about how much you loved yourself, that others showed up and were enamored, and you found them loving themselves as a result. We don't need another person to love us as much as we need to be loving ourselves. But once you love yourself, again, you can't but feel confident and radiate that beauty. So I hope this serves everyone. You have an amazing evening. I love you very, very much, and it is my desire to uplift, inspire, empower all of humanity. I want to see each and every one of you thriving. This isn't about survival. This is about thriving. Life is a stage, and you can be whoever you want to be. You don't need permission either, because you're worthy, and you yourself are loved.